Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years.
Venezuela, Russia, Ukraine, and we'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
Greenland.
It's an integrated part of our
We need
country.
Greenland, baby.
We need Greenland from a national security.
Greenland, we need Greenland, baby.
It's so strategic. Right now,
It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand, Mr. Trump. F off.
Greenland.
The president has been clear for months now that the United States should be the nation that has Greenland as part of our overall security apparatus. The United
Right, but
States
your wife
NATO
posted that like hours after the Venezuela operation.
but-
That's why it's newly relevant.
ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark
Mr. Trump, f off.
did recently to boost up security in Greenland. They added one more dog sled. It's true. They thought that.
If you think the sudden obsession with Greenland is about ice, is about climate or science or strategic partnerships, you are already too late. Because this isn't about Greenland. It's about inflation, it's about debt, strategic shipping lanes, energy control, and an empire that needs ever more leverage as the financial system tightens. Because when funding gets hard, empires start to fall apart. They don't explain, they position strategically. So by the end of this video, you'll understand this direct mechanism. Greenland is a liquidity and control play, pure and simple, but dressed up as geopolitics. And your cost of living is downstream of it, so pay attention. So let's start with reality, not maps. You don't wake up worrying about the Arctic, at least I know I don't, and most of you probably don't. You worry about something else. Why your food costs more than it did last month, why energy never really gets any cheaper, why savings feel like they're melting, why wages never ever catch up. That's not incompetence, it's not bad luck, it's monetary debasement. So monetary debasement is really a very pernicious, quiet tax that pays for systems that can't fund themselves very honestly anymore. And Greenland only matters because this system is inherently stressed. When the system is calm and everything's good, nobody talks about Arctic ice. But when it's breaking, geography starts to become incredibly vital. First things first, let's kill this entire fairy tale. Greenland is strategically important because of climate change. That's the childlike explanation. Greenland has been there for the entire time. It hasn't gone anywhere. The ice didn't suddenly start melting last year. The minerals didn't suddenly just appear. And the shipping routes didn't magically just materialize overnight. So the only question that truly matters is this: why now? Because systems don't move when they want to. They move only because they actually have to. And the global funding system is under pressure. There is an innate mechanism that empires always run on. They run on funding, they don't run on moral values. Geopolitics always follows the funding. When money is cheap, empires always cooperate, but when money tightens, empires love to secure choke points. They have to. And what funds our modern states? Debt, rolled endlessly at low rates and with trust. So the real enemy of an empire is not another country. It's rising interest rates, inflation expectations, a bond market that stops working and stops believing, and supply chains that add friction into the system. When funding becomes too fragile, geography becomes weaponized. Greenland is geography par excellence. Let's listen to a brief history lesson. Every empire learns these realities in the exact same way. Before World War I, the monetary system was kept honest by the gold standard. But then war arrived, and discipline had to disappear completely. Because you can't fund war, expansion, or empire with honesty. You fund it with bond issuance, central bank backstops, printing of money. The public doesn't ever feel it immediately, they always feel it later. The inflation, the shortages, the political anger, the social decay. This is why your bills go up. This is why your wages stagnate. And this is why your rent always explodes. The pattern never ever changes. War only expands the state. Printing pays the bills. Something really perverse happened. We went from Bretton Woods to trust us, bro. After World War II, The system stabilized. Dollar linked to gold, other currencies linked to the dollar. But there was a flaw inherently baked in. To supply the world with dollars, the US had to run perma deficits. And deficits turned into an addiction. Eventually, there were more dollar claims than gold. So in 1971, the gold discipline cycle ended completely. The world didn't revolt, it just adapted. The system changed around it, and something else entirely replaced the gold standard. Oil. Yes, oil replaced gold. Now geography replaces oil. Gold was replaced by oil. Energy priced in dollars. Surpluses recycled into dollar assets. Securities exchanged for settlement dominance. That's how the system survived. But here is the problem. Energy dominance is being contested. Trade routes are being rerouted. Sanctions turned money into a weapon. And the trust inevitably cracked. So the system has to look for a new anchor. What is the next actor? The next anchor is control of routes, resources, friction. That's where Greenland comes in. Greenland is not a story about a country. It's a pipeline story. It's a debt story. It's an inflation story, and it's a liquidity story. Greenland matters because it sits at an intersection, a very important intersection. New Arctic shipping lanes, rare earth minerals, energy access, military positioning, and control of future trading flows. As the ice recedes, the distance collapses, shipping times shorten, insurance risk changes, energy logistics shift, supply chains all reprice. This isn't a theory, markets price in the friction. Greenland reduces friction for some and increases it for others. And herein is where the power really, truly exists. Enter, stage left, Russia, China, and the trust all collapsing. Here's the context that everyone seems to avoid. When reserves were frozen and the assets were seized, there was one message to the system. Money in this system is conditional. So all rational actors have to respond rationally. They diversify, they shorten their supply chains, they build new supply chains. China doesn't look at Greenland emotionally. It looks at shipping risk, it looks at resource access, insurance costs, settlement leverage. Russia does not look at Greenland ideologically. It looks at encirclement and control of vital access points. This is not politics, this is financial plumbing, liquidity, debasement, inflation, interest rate risks, and geopolitical strategic positioning in the world. You might not think it, but this comes straight back 180 degrees, full turn almost, to your wallet. Let's bring it home. Every time this system strains, central banks do the exact same things. They print, they buy assets, they suppress volatility, they enrich the rich, they increase the wealth inequality income gap. They call it stability. What it really does is protect asset prices, keeps governments funded, destroys purchasing power. QE is always the quiet agreement. We will not let the system clear naturally, and you will pay with it through inflation. So geopolitics adds frictions. Printing has to fill the gap. It's the lubricant to make that friction less friction-y. And your money absorbs the loss. Your wallets absorb the loss. Your interest rates go up. Your savings rates go down. Your expenditures go up. Your insurance costs, your CPI, your energy costs, everything goes up to fund that stopgap where QE has to come in and fill. Why Greenland? And more importantly, why now? Greenland matters because global debt loads are extreme and ever rising, rates can't rise without breaking things, energy remains incredibly volatile, trade routes are being entirely rewritten, and the trust in the monetary system is at the lowest point ever. In that environment, empires like America, and they are an empire, they panic. They secure, they pre-position, they control future optionality. Greenland is that optionality. It's a pressure valve in a very, very stressed system. Inflation is never an accident. It is always a political choice. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Inflation can never be a mistake. It is the progeny, the offspring, the output of debt saturation, geopolitical friction, energy volatility, and monetary backstopping. Governments don't say this out loud. They never say it out loud. They change the subject. They jazz it up with another war or another political idea or ideology that's on the fringe. They blame the suppliers. They blame the wars. They blame the weather. But the mechanism is always simple. When debt is too big to service honestly, money always gets smaller. What does this mean for you? And what do you do now? First, you have to stop believing that this is anything like random. Second, you understand that saving in debasing currencies is a losing strategy. Doesn't mean you should start gambling. This doesn't mean you should start chasing hype. It means you need exposure to things that can survive printing, hard assets, because America doesn't collapse politely. It's always going to grind. And the people who lose the most are the ones who believe the story instead of the actual mechanism and how the system truly works. This isn't about Greenland. It's about who controls routes, resources, liquidity when the system eventually starts to tighten. Greenland is the positioning and your cost of living is the invoice. You need to position accordingly, watch the tea leaves very, very closely and see how you can diversify out of an ever-diminishing currency with less purchasing power to protect you and your family's portfolio and your future. That's all I've got today. Ciao for now.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years.
Venezuela, Russia, Ukraine, and we'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
It's an integrated part of our country.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now,
It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, f*** off.
If the president has been clear for months now that the United States should be the nation that has Greenland as part of our overall security apparatus. The United
Right, but
States
your wife posted that like hours after the Venezuela operation.
but
that's why it's newly relevant.
No,
ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark,
Mr. Trump, f*** off.
Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland. They added one more dog sled. It's true. They thought that